Hey guys, back with another Marketing Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend and is having a great week. So today I wanted to talk to you guys all about posting on Facebook and kind of tips and tricks to get more engagement, get more views, get more attention, and then have people actually look at your posts. I know from my own experience there are so many posts on my Facebook feed that I just scroll past. So how do you get people to draw their attention to actually read your posts versus the however many other ones they see, right? And also, you probably would notice in your own scrolling history, but for me, there's certain people on my feed that I like the things that they have to say. I agree with their perspectives normally, and so when I see a post from them, I am more likely to slow down and kind of give it my attention and give it my gaze. So how do we make ourselves in our own online community, right? Because if you think about your Facebook page, it's your online community full of friends, family, clients, coworkers, bosses, etc. How do we create our presence in our online community to be one that people stop and take notice of and read through our things? Right? So a couple of things that I wanted to touch on first and foremost. First, you guys need to have on your profile what it is that you do and kind of who you are. And that doesn't need to be you putting every single post out there that says like, I'm a roofer, this, and that, but having it as a big part of your profile will help you attract the right audience. Some people's social media, you guys have to understand, I spend so much time on social media, but some people's Facebook pages, their business page and their personal page, you have to look to see who they are and what they do. It should not be a Easter egg search for people to figure out that you do roofing, right? While we don't want to be on the side of the spectrum that is throwing out into everyone's face that we do roofing all the time, so we're like annoying about it and people don't read our posts because they don't want to hear about it. That's one side of the spectrum. The other side of the spectrum is when people literally have no idea what you do and they couldn't even find it on their page if they wanted to, right? So somewhere in the middle of this, we need to be able for people to find who we are, what we do, and it needs to be pretty easy without oversaturating their feed and without them having to search for it. So make sure that your profile clearly says who you are, what you do. And then we've kind of touched on this before, but I really believe in having some like stronger posts that people are going to disagree with and people are going to agree with, right? So I'm not saying political posts. I'm not necessarily saying any like religious posts. You know, there's those certain subjects that we don't talk about at the dinner table on holidays. I still think, rule of thumb, we shouldn't talk about those. However, you know, there's conversations that you can have. Maybe you like live in Dallas and you're a huge Dallas football fan, right? And then you're like, my team's better than this other team. Well, because your community is in Dallas, a lot of people are probably going to agree with you. Some people on your post are going to disagree with you, but the people that agree with you are going to like you more because that's their team too, right? And then the people that don't agree with you, they're not going to necessarily block you and unfriend you over a football team, or I hope not, maybe some will, but you know, it still is, it's like you're giving them enough pushback to where the people that like you, we want them to really like you. Okay, a couple things about Facebook. So when you post on Facebook, your post is going to get the best engagement within the first 5 hours of you posting. So what does that mean? That means that when you're considering posting something, you want to post it in thinking that people are going to see it for this window and then they're not going to see it again. So if you're going to post on like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I recommend if you have something to post, get up and post it as soon as you can. Post it at 7 a.m. because that 5 hour window is going to catch people from 7, from 8, from 9, from 10, from 11 that are getting on their phone during that time, right? Versus if you post something at noon, some people might see that on their lunch hour and that's a great time to post, but also in the afternoon during that time, a lot of people are at their desks working and not necessarily on their phone. I would encourage you to post early in the morning, 5, 6, 7, get all of those people that are just getting on their social media for the beginning of the day, and then also post like after work, maybe a little bit pre-rush hour, to where when people are scrolling their social media in rush hour, when people are just getting home, kicking their boots off, sitting on the couch about to make dinner, scrolling social media, and also it will capture them before they go to bed, right? Because if you post it at 5, your post will still be relevant by 10 p.m. and people will probably have seen it within that hour, within those 5 hours. So early in the morning or after work, those are going to be my recommendations for you guys to post on social media so that you capture the most attention. Also during the weekends are a little bit weird because people are on social media the whole time. There aren't like these blocks for people to go to work where there's kind of these like off periods. So social media on the weekends, I would say later in the day, probably like 8 a.m. I would post on Saturdays and Sundays. Especially on Sundays, if you post early, you can like get the people that, you know, they go and sit in church and they're just kind of waiting for a second before everything gets going, before the music starts and whatever else. Okay, a couple of other tips and tricks for Facebook. When you guys are posting on Facebook, even if you want everyone to look at your post, you need to recognize that each of the individuals that makes up your whole community is an individual. Posts that are geared towards like, hey everyone, if you know, those don't do well. Those don't do well because no one can relate with everyone. I'm not an everyone, right? I'm an individual. And although I know, although that post is geared towards your whole audience, you're like, well, Savannah, I said, hey everyone, because I wanted everyone to pay attention. I know, but if you take a post and when you craft it, you mean it more for like, hey you, hey James, hey Savannah. If you craft something to where someone feels like, oh my gosh, they wrote that post and they're talking to me, like they're only talking to me. Wow, that was so, you know, I'm the person they wrote that post for. That's gonna get so much more interaction. That's gonna get people reading it, people stopping and looking at it. The whole, hey everyone, people thinks that works well, so they can capture everyone's attention, but no one thinks it's personal. Everyone looks at those posts as like copy and pasted, and think about in your own history of seeing those. I don't ever stop and read those. I'm like, if hey everyone, then someone else do whatever they're asking them to do, right? So that's another thing. Hey Aaron. And then the third thing that I wanted to just kind of touch on with you guys as far as Facebook goes. So when you have a Facebook and you're a roofer, right? I would encourage you, even if you're just a sales rep, to have your own Facebook page, because I don't know what your career is. I know what my career has been as being a roofing sales rep, and I've worked for many roofing companies. I do not sell roofs anymore, but I did not just work for one roofing company. And so the photos that you take that maybe get a watermark over them working for a specific company, those photos you can't take with you even though they're on your phone. So I would encourage you, if you are the owner of a roofing company, you should have a page for that roofing company. You should have watermarks over those photos. You should have all of those things updated, etc. And that page should be connected to your personal profile. If you are a sales rep, you should have your personal profile, and then you should also have like a Savannah Does Roofs page or my roofing expertise page. Something where when homeowners are like, oh, have you done roofs in this area before? You have your own profile, right? Rather than moving to different companies and starting over, you can kind of build something that you can build off of. And if you eventually, as a roofing sales rep, want to start your own company, you can change the name of the page that you created to X, Y, and Z roofing, and you've already got a backlog, right? So make sure. Oh, and then also too, last little tip. On your page, when you create it, it's gonna be like X, X, Y, and Z roofing, or Facebook slash all of these numbers, all of these letters, whatever slash, because Facebook's gonna just assign you some random place for some people to find it. Go in and change that. Make sure that it's Facebook slash X, Y, and Z roofing. That way it's easy to find, it's easy for you to text people, it's easy to share, it's easy to add to your website, it's easy to put on other social media, it's easy for you to put on your business cards, etc. Okay, so and then I don't think I've got anything else that I want to share with you guys. Post often on Facebook. Don't drown people with your posts, but make sure that you're relevant. I would say 1 to 3 times per day, and probably at least once on your story. And make sure that you never want to just post about what you do. People, if all you do is post about roofing stuff, people don't care. They don't care as much as you guys do. I care, and some people care, but the rest of the people are more curious about like who you are, what are you excited about? Like my sister's having a baby, like the spring is finally here, I planted some flowers, and I do this. Right? Erin, any insights on TikTok? So TikTok is its own kind of thing. This is what I'll say about TikTok. I believe the population that mainly uses TikTok right now is a little bit too young for them to be homeowners. I think the majority of the people that really utilize TikTok are like, I don't know, like teens to 20s. However, because this audience, teens to 20s, grew up on TikTok, when they're in their 30s, 40s, they're going to trust TikTok like people in this generation trust Facebook and Instagram, right? If we think about the way the generations were raised, there was a MySpace generation, and then there was a Facebook generation, and then there's an Instagram generation, and then there will be a TikTok generation, and there will be other social medias that come after that people kind of attach to. My generation is the Instagram generation, right? Like people would rather use Instagram than use Facebook. So that group of people, millennials, I would say, that group of people are now entering into like their late 20s and 30s where they're going to be home buyers. So I would tell you to solicit your services to create accounts that represent your expertise on things like Instagram, on things like Facebook. Facebook is catered towards an older generation, and the reason why Facebook works so well as far as establishing your expertise and like definitely having like people build trust and you kind of build an audience and monetize your Facebook is because the people that use Facebook are of the home buying age, of the roof needing to be bought age, are that older community, right? As far as TikTok goes, TikTok is the younger community, but they're going to be home buyers eventually within the next 10 years. So while I would not encourage you at this particular time to spend all of your time posting on TikTok, because your ideal consumer is, I don't believe, to be there. I know that they are there, but not in majority. As a roofer, your ideal consumer is going to be found on Facebook and on Instagram, and if you're going to nurture that audience, you should be nurturing them on those two platforms. You should create a presence on TikTok. You should create an expertise on TikTok. You should begin to build that out, but you should not expect for your ideal client to be utilizing TikTok every day like people do Facebook for probably another few years. So I don't think that TikTok's a bad play. I think it's really smart to have a widespread. I've got social media on everything. I think that you guys should have that too. Right now, as far as building out your pipeline, your brand, these other things, my for who your ideal client is, which I would perceive to be a homeowner, my recommendation would be Facebook and Instagram needs to be where the majority of your time is spent, showing that you're the expert within the industry. And then if you've got some extra time and you want to like build out a TikTok, build out a TikTok. It will come to fruition, but right now, at this exact time, I would just say focus on Facebook and Instagram for monetization purposes. Erin, I hope that answers you. Okay, guys, I hope you have such a good week. Thank you for joining me, Marketing Mondays. I will talk to you soon, and have a good day.